Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 9x90. As you know, sometimes we have investors on telling you what they're looking to invest in, so you can send them deals, and sometimes we have investment opportunities on, so you can see what I think is investment worthy that you should be checking out as well. Keep in mind that everything here is just for educational purposes. None of this is financial advice. And today I would like to introduce you to the founder of Beao Investments. I had the pleasure of meeting him a few weeks ago at an amazing event that him and his team hosted. He presented to us this new concept of vertical farming. Now, you might be thinking, okay, vertical farming, let's see, there's a lot to learn about it. It's amazing. It's completely going to revolutionize the way that we experience health, wealth, and dining in the United States and maybe even around the world. But before we dive into that, I would like to let you know a little bit about Jean Paul, who is the founder of this amazing conglomerate of funds, this firm. He got his start in the clothing business, just like Mr. John Pennington, who, as many of you know, he retired and his fund is now worth 48 billion in AUM. Jean Paul also got his start in the clothing business, transitioned into real estate. In 2008, he saw an opportunity to launch his first fund, which invested in various real estate asset classes. As the drop was happening, he was able to capture things at fire sale prices. And to date, he has managed a grand total of 1.2 billion in AUM. So for some of you, you're probably thinking, oh my God, I've never been there. And for others, you're thinking, oh my God, he's on his way, because once you pass the 1 billion mark, there's nothing stopping you. Ladies and gents, please give a warm welcome to Jean Paul.
Thank you, Ari. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure, being able to just chatting and sharing the previous experiences. And yeah, it's a lot to talk about it. There are different areas we can discuss how we got to this point, because you have asked me 3 years ago, I would be like, this guy's crazy,
Everyone thinks you're crazy until you're the success story, and then they're asking how you did it.
Yes. So yeah,
yes.
Go ahead.
You have so many stories all over the place. Let's focus on a few key stories building up to vertical farming today, because that's the thing that's really newsworthy right now with the FDA crackdowns in the United States. So you have Beao Investments that you started. That's the one that started in 2008?
No. Beao Investment is a spin of a previous firm that I have. Okay. And before, I was very oriented to commercial real estate. Everything was commercial real estate. But I decided that, it's time after you see so many deals, everything start being clearer in your mind. And you're like, you know what? Every deal is the same thing. It has the same structure. It has the same elements. You're just changing the product. And then when you start seeing outside the box what's really going on in the world and paying attention to things that most private equity firms simply ignore, thinking that you can play like you used to do business 10 years ago. You need to have a refreshed playbook. So that's why I decided to create Beao, to have a different playbook, something that is looking beyond the book, beyond the headlines, or what you call beyond the narrative overall, right? Mm-hmm. And then we decided, you know what? This has to be a private equity firm that travels through different sectors and somehow connect it in the way we do real estate.
Okay. So, and this is how you went from clothing to commercial real estate to vertical farming?
Yes, vertical farming is a product of a need that we saw coming. Let me give a little background. So I saw that, and this is a large conversation. It's a long conversation, but I want to try to keep it short. I saw that the food supply overall around the world, it's no secret. It's contaminated. It's harder and harder to be able to get clean food and quality food. All the labeling and everything, and without getting into too many details, it's really, really hard. And during this period of COVID, I start hearing from people, listen, I don't want to hear about real estate. All deals are bad. All deals are bad, right? And I was like, so how are we going to do business here, right? So
I hate when people say all deals are bad. And it's like, no, it's people who've been in this space for less than 5 years think all deals are bad because they don't know how to look for the outliers. You're not looking for every real estate deal to be good. You're looking for the 0.001% that are good and grabbing them. And that's it.
yes,
So I hate it when people are like, oh, all real estate is bad. I'm like, as soon as you say that, I know that you don't know that game. Like
exactly.
you just might as well like wear a novice hat. Like
it's like it's like I always said, listen, you're telling me stuff that it's like you telling the stockbroker which stock you need to pick when you're not in the business, right?
Yeah, and you know nothing about stocks. Yeah.
Exactly, right?
You're telling them which commodities to trade, and you've never looked up anything on the coffee market.
Exactly, right? So in that way, so then interest rate went to the roof, and that's another thing that why nobody wanted to do anything. And everybody was telling me, it has to be something unique. It has to be something different. And at some point, and I connected all the dots together, right? It's like, I got the idea first. And you can say, I got the idea from God, and I was like, I don't even know if this is going to work. Because from all that I heard, many of these, they lose a ton of money, right? When they start. So
that's vertical farming.
The vertical farming, yeah.
But here's the thing that makes you different. You were in the clothing business, so you understand micro and macroeconomics at a consumer goods level with supply and demand at a per unit price. Then you went into real estate where you got more of like a macroeconomic perspective because you're picking a building that is impacting an entire economy and society and town or city, and now you're combining the two with your vertical farming.
Yes, in many ways that is correct. But we didn't know if this was going to work. It's how we're going to make it pencil out. We're not farmers. We are investment guys, right? So how is this going to put together? Well, I figure this is no different than having a project. You need to put the team together to make it work and bring the experts that really know their thing. I mean, their unique skills. Apply it to the vision that we want to do, right? So the vision was like, hey, we want to build this clean food, and we want to do it in a certain way. We don't want to be influenced by third parties in any way. How can we make this happen, and how big needs to be, right? Because we just didn't know. It was all basically an idea in a napkin. So after a lot of being in the whiteboard and what can be done, what cannot be done, so we realized that we need to bring this at the real estate level, we call, right? And we're like, okay, so we realized that first of all, it has to be big. It cannot be small because it won't work. The economy is a part of the economy of a scale.
Yeah.
So in the process, we realized that this will have to be the 11th largest in the country. There are not many, by the way. We are ahead of the curve. So this will end up probably being even the 11th or the 10th largest in the country. And so we realized, so how is this going to be done? So basically, we came out with 19 different crops, right, that we are going to produce, right? Now, we produce 24/7, all year round. Right?
Which is huge
in an indoor facility.
Mm-hmm.
So now we know what we're going to produce based on these preliminary studies, and we know the yield for each crop. We know how much space they need and how they rotate, right? And based on market conditions, we say, okay, during summer or winter or different season, we're going to produce this. So to try to go against the normal season, right? And then we're like, okay, so at the end of the day, we realize, okay, so how much are we going to produce per square feet? And then we realize the crops are our tenants. And now we can structure it like a real estate deal.
Yeah.
And separate the components like in a hotel, industrial, the brand, like in clothing business, we separate the brand, the operations, and we make this whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, so when you were explaining the vertical farming to me, what I thought was amazing about it was first you talk about how you were in the clothing business. It was like, okay, clothing to real estate, I've seen that before. And then you said, and then we're in the real estate business, and now we're structuring vertical farming this way. And I was like, you took your two very different career experiences and combined them in a unique way so that the economics work out in a way that no traditional farmer would think to have them work out.
Of course not, because I call it, listen, I have been in business for 30 years, and in 30 years I have seen
everything,
all kinds of business cycles, and I'm telling you, I have made mistakes like everybody else. Not everything has been a home run, but that's okay. I have learned from it, and with the farm, it's like we really the way we want to develop is like we really don't want anybody to be telling us what to do in this endeavor, and really produce something that is unique compared to a lot of people, and something that not all of course it has to make money for everybody, right? But it has to have I call it, is the why we're doing it, right? The why is so critical.
But I think something that's key to understand and highlight here is that a lot of people who are trying to get into vertical farming or find new ways of getting clean food to the local populations, they're so focused on the mission, but they forget that the money is the lifeblood to keep the company going. And I've attended so many pitches where they're like, well, investors should want to do this because it's the morally correct thing. And it's like, no, investors want to do something that is morally correct, but also makes them money. Like it has to be a double win. And that's what you've structured here. That's unique, that I was like, whoa, you have to have more people hear this. Because
So let me tell you, so then I read all the headlines like everybody else. It's like, oh, there's a lot of them. They lost hundreds of millions of dollars. It's like, why?
Because they're not math people. They're not finance people. They don't understand real estate. They don't understand markets. They don't understand making money.
So exactly. So we're like, okay, we need to understand and learn what went wrong with them. And we realized that a lot of them were people with an idea. They were not business people. That was one thing.
Exactly.
Then we realized that, second, a lot of them were kind of in the agriculture business, and because they need to expand, they hire family members and others to run the business. Then we discovered another pattern that a lot of them, they went heavy in technology, and they didn't realize that the cap is the maintenance of the technology, and the technology itself will be way more expensive than they were doing. So having that said, listen, we need to make something that this is common sense. So how much we need to produce, how much are we going to pay for square feet, how much are we earning per square feet, what's our margin, let's make it happen. And now we know the economy of scale, how to do it. And then we realize, okay, what is going to be the distribution channel, how this is going to actually work in real life. And I always say, not in an Excel spreadsheet that can tell you whatever you want to hear.
And that's the biggest difference. I mean, with any real estate deal, I just wrote an article, I think it was 2 days ago, on like the difference between a syndicate by someone who graduated from a real estate mastermind like 2 weeks ago, and a real estate fund that's being run by people who've been in the industry for 20 years. And you have to understand that the Excel is like your best base case scenario. There are things that are going to go wrong. And like any professional sport, you have to know how to adapt, how to account for it, how to fix different variables. So I love that you highlight that point of like, okay, we have it in an Excel, but how is it actually going to work in the real world? Let's walk it through that process.
And let me tell you something different. You see, I have been in that arena. I started with the, how you call it, the Excel way, right? Like many people. And are you there?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to
So
play
I
the
started with that like many people, and some of the deals were amazing, right? Not all of them were so amazing. Some of them, they did not perform well because we put 80, sometimes the 90% leverage, right? But that was when money was free.
I know.
Right? But so over the years, I realized that, this is not. So when I created Beao, I decided we're going to do things completely different. You see, when you are dealing with an investor, and this goes to even for the bank and everything, you are the client. I'm at the other side of the desk. I'm trying to get you to come with me. And I'm like, I don't want to play the game. Really, I realized that I'm at the same side of the client. We want exactly the same thing because I want to sleep in peace. So I'm not going to be telling you a story anymore, right? Or whatever, or showing you an Excel that if all the stars are aligned, it's going to happen because it never does.
Yeah.
So I decided, you know what? Instead of competing with all these companies that are telling you all these things, we say, we're not going to go there.
Mm-hmm.
This is a place where we have multiple different strategies and where you can park your capital based on your own risks and tolerance. Depends what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not about quantity. This is about quality.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, as I said, I want to sleep in peace. I don't want to have 5,000 clients. I want to have few but good ones. And most importantly, and this part is the greedy part. Yes, I want you as a customer. Of course, I want you as a customer. We all need to help each other. But I want the relationship because, I want you to bring me your friend, your uncle, and so on. And that takes time. I call it the ripple effect. And for the ripple effect to be created, things need to work in a certain way that you can trust. Because let's be honest, they don't know me, they don't trust me, and they don't need me. So why would they do business with me, right? So that's why it's all about the relationships.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And then for everyone who's wondering what we're talking about, we're going to show you a quick 2-minute video right now.
Welcome to Sunny Greens Farm, soon to anchor itself in southern Florida as a beacon of agricultural innovation. Committed to high quality, we'll produce non-GMO organic fruits and vegetables. Sunny Greens Farm leverages the latest in agricultural technology. Our multi-layer facility will use cutting-edge hydroponics and LED lighting to maximize yields while using minimal resources, far surpassing traditional farming methods. Managed by seasoned professionals, our blend of automation and human expertise guarantees peak efficiency and unmatched quality. Strategically positioned within 50 miles of multiple metropolitan areas, our state-of-the-art vertical farming facility ensures quick access to urban markets. Our vertical farming approach uses less land and resources, enabling year-round operation and significantly increased production. We conserve land and water and minimize pesticide use, enhancing our efficiency and performance to ensure a continuous, sustainable supply of produce. This venture is more than an investment. It's a commitment to one of humanity's most basic needs, food. Designed to develop in phases, the project promises careful, sustainable growth and expansion. We've meticulously structured Sunny Greens Farm to integrate the best practices of real estate and agriculture, maximizing efficiency and ensuring a solid investment. Sunny Greens Farm presents a unique opportunity. It's not just an investment in food, it's an investment in the future, distinguishing your portfolio in today's market. Join the forefront of sustainable innovation at Sunny Greens Farm. Connect with us to explore this unique investment opportunity, already attracting forward-thinking partners eager to cultivate success.
All right. I just, that video is incredible.
Yeah, it took, I realized that I had to do everything in that one because nobody could understand the vision. So I had to create the script myself for the video, and I had to pick every single little scene that you saw. It's like about 70 different videos, and put it, and I had this company that put it all together, and I had to pick also the voice and how to tell the guy how to explain it, because nobody could put it together. So I had to do everything on that one.
Oh, wow. Wow. I was wondering, it was like the video is just so well done. Like the music, the voice, the scenes that you have, like with every part of it, it speaks so clearly, I think, to investors rather than speaking to people who are in the agri-tech space who don't necessarily understand the importance of financials and the fundamentals of business and how revenue is a key. It's the lifeblood.
And I call it, and that's where the years of the clothing business, because my family was in the clothing business for almost 100 years. So I grew up with that. The importance of convey the message, because you are selling something that nobody knows. So you have to convey the message,
Yeah, I didn't realize you'd been in the clothing business 100 years. My family's been in real estate over 100 years.
There you
since
go.
the 1800s. And yeah, it's interesting because I'll walk into meetings and people are like, how do you know that? And it's like, well, when I attended a board meeting when I was 12, they were discussing this. And they were like, what 12-year-old attends board meetings? And I was like, in my family, we start at 8. So it's funny growing up in a specific industry, how it fuses your brain in specific ways. I really feel sorry for people who don't grow up with parents who want to teach them economic empowerment from an early age.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny because people ask me, "What did you study?" Actually, I didn't go to college. My father died when I was 11. I started working in the family business when I was 16, and really, when I was 18, I was in charge of the factory. I had this, we call it. Thing that I had to go to college, and I enrolled myself into college. I went for probably 5 months, and I realized they were not teaching me anything. And then I learned from the University of Life, as my grandpa used to say, the longest, the most expensive, and and the hardest one.
I got my degree in medicinal and biological chemistry. And when I graduated, it was the 2008 recession. So no one was hiring a brand new biochemist because there were biochemists with 20 years of experience applying for the same entry-level jobs. But yeah, the degree ended up, like, now I use the neurobiology aspects a lot in marketing. But I mean, I could have gotten that same experience not having spent 4 years studying and working in a biochem lab.
It happens, and I'm glad it did.
Yeah. So, all right, what do you anticipate being the greatest challenge
In what terms?
with launching this vertical farm? Because so you're starting in South Florida, and then so obviously we have the hurricanes to account for, but you know how to build it with structural integrity so it can survive the Hurricane 5. So what do you anticipate being the greatest challenge with launching this? And you're going to spread it across the US, right? To all of the major metropolitans?
Yes, as the video said, and the video has a multiple message that if you hear several times, you're gonna hear.
Memorize it.
It's what I call is the pillars of the story. Okay, so the video has multiple pillars, and one of them is we're gonna develop it in phases, but the project itself is in different phases. Example, phase 1 is we're acquiring the land, and although we have our preliminary studies and all of that, we really, until we have the land, we cannot really get it ready to break ground, right? So that's when the next step comes, when we're going to tune up all the numbers and everything based on the land that we finally have, right? And during that process, that's where we bring the extra talent, the people that are going to run this thing. And so by the time we are go to phase 2, really to breaking ground, we're going to know exactly all the challenges we will face, and every little single detail in each different phase that we're going to go. And that's why it's so important phase 1 to be completed exactly as it is intended right now.
Your pilot phase. So you anticipate the pilot phase, once you have the land, it'll take how many years to take the land, develop the infrastructure, build everything out, and then start selling? How long do you think that'll take?
2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, because the hardest part, I mean, while we get the infrastructure developed, because inside we already know very clear what has to be. It's incredibly simple in many ways. You have the grown area, then you have packing, office, trucks, and so on, all the logistics. So that's incredibly simple. Building it, it's like an industrial shell.
Yeah.
The longest part it's going to take is all the wiring. And I was shocked with all the wiring because it was affordable. But because we're wiring 600,000 square feet of with different kind of instruments, sensors, lighting, and all of that.
So engineering. Yeah.
So the idea is that in 2 years it's going to be online, and we expect it's going to take about 2 years to stabilize, right? And then of course we're going to go through the learning curve and to tweak it to perfection. The idea is either we're going to go open new ones, we're going to partner with others to come to us, or we're going to license
the intellectual property.
Our model.
And how much more do you need to raise in order to start the pilot phase?
The pilot phase is about 20 million, and the whole project is 123, I think.
Okay. Okay. Awesome.
Which, if you think about it, it's like one multifamily deal or one hotel. It's not that much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. When you talk with certain sovereign wealth funds, they won't write a check for less than 100 million.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they don't want to be more than 20% of your deal. So they're asking you to get 5 other sovereign other big checks to write with them. So that's not bad. All right, so let's see. The next question, I think you've already answered this. What are some tools and tactics that you use to manage your time and your team effectively? We discussed this a little bit at that dinner.
Yes, you see, I used to have a team of 45 people, and we used to do a lot of things, and everybody was running around everywhere. and I thought that was how business supposed to be for a long time. Until I visited a colleague of mine, he does billions in business. And I look at him and I said, I've never been in your office. Where's everybody? My office is right here. And it's like, okay, but where's everybody? Well, it's right here. I'm like, how many people are you? Oh, I think he told me like 10 people. And it's like, how? I mean, how do you do this? Because we are more than 4 times you, and we do a fraction of the business.
Yeah.
And everybody seemed very chill doing what they were doing. And I said, JP, it's like you don't know how to charge. You see, you're doing everything in-house, and all investors complain about how much you're taking. We don't do that. We outsource everything, and the fee is for us. And investors are happy because it takes away the conflict of interest. And guess what? And this is something got stuck to me. I cannot fire myself, but I can fire the guys that I'm hiring. And that popped my head. I was like, the guy is absolutely right. So then I basically, when I created Beao, I said, I need to use this strategy completely. And in that way, we will be able to do way more business. And we focus on what matters, on the vision and the execution. And we push it down to the people that really are local, with local knowledge of the marketplace, and or they're very, very good in what specifically they do. So we just supervise that the vision is being accomplished, and the business plan is being taken care of. If not, well, it's like in American they say next.
Yeah, we at my real estate fund, it's a very lean team, and my partner was like, we're going to outsource this to this company, this to this company, this to either this one or this one, depending on which city the asset is in. And he was mentioning all of that. And I was like, do you think investors will be happy with how much we're outsourcing? And then I went to your dinner and you said that, and I was like, okay, fine, he's right. Like that was the first time I heard it phrased that way. And I was like, that's actually like that. I understood the method to his madness, where he was like, we don't want a huge team, because the bigger our team, the more time we also have to spend on internal politics, which just devours your time. Whereas when you outsource, you're buying back time. You're not only making the investors happy, you're giving yourself peace of mind so you can make clearer decisions.
The other problem is that as the team gets bigger, the company start having silos inside and red tape. And not everybody is engaged with what's happening. And they start thinking that the company, whoever that is, will take care of this or that. And you're like, who is the company? No, the company will do it. And you're like, but with a small team, we're all involved, we all know what's going on, and we all know, well, who's going to do that? Who's going to take the ball from A to B? I know he's not doing it, and I have this thing that I learned, 100/0, that I teach everybody, right? Okay. And I saw this in a video a long time ago, and it really got stuck to me. 100 is like, you need to have 100% commitment to what you do. You need to own it. You need to really take the ball. If you don't see somebody doing it, you need to grab it and do it. And the 0 goes to 0 excuse. There is no excuse. There is no like, oh, I sent an email, he's supposed to know. There is no excuse here. And everybody in the companies needs to be able to be an ambassador of the firm. And when you apply that concept, you're like, should I hire this guy or not? You're like, he's not going to be the ambassador of the firm. You immediately,
Yeah. I worked on, there was a med tech company quite a few years ago now, probably about 5 years ago. And they were stuck at 113 million, and they couldn't understand why. And so for 6 weeks, I had to meet with each of their marketing and sales teams. They had them competing against each other instead of sharing data. And so I went to the sales team and I was like, do you have this data? They were like, oh, we record all the calls. And I was like, do you have this data? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, can you give it to that person on the marketing team? And they were like, why? And I was like, because if you have the data on exactly what makes someone decide to make the purchase, that should be a quote in the next marketing ad campaign, set of marketing ad campaigns. And they're like, oh, I never thought about that. And it's like, how often do you meet with the marketing team? And you're like, never. It's like, marketing and sales are supposed to be a marriage. And so then the CTO, I had my check-in with him because he was the one that insisted I needed to come help. And he was like, that's brilliant. Why didn't we think of that? I was like, because your team is too big. You have thousands of people in 13 countries that don't chat. But yeah,
I know exactly what you mean. Yes.
Yeah, and then they were also, some of them were incentivized to build bigger teams. So they would create problems and then say, oh, you need an entire new marketing department in Japan. I was like, no, you don't. You just need to make that a no index page that only drives ad traffic there. And they were like, you just saved us like several $1 million. Like, power of outside consultants coming in and like breaking down everything. But yeah, bigger teams, bigger waste.
Yes, it really creates a red tape, and then the company becomes slow. You cannot react in time.
Yeah, yeah. And when you have a smaller team, everyone acts like they're on the soccer team together. Like they're all with one goal. Whereas when you have a larger team, they're acting like they're on competing sports teams, and then everything just breaks. Yeah. So is there anything else that you wanted to share with the audience?
Well, I always said, I don't like to sell, because nobody wants to hear it. Everybody's sick. I'm tired of hearing stuff. But you want to know what we do? We focus in solving problems, right? That's the best way to get a client, solving a problem. And in terms of capital, that's what we like to do, solving a problem. Everybody has something that needs to be taken care of, right? Either it could be a refinancing, or you think you lost your money already, it needs to be rebalanced, or you have some assets and you're not sure what to do with them, or you simply have the capital you want to park somewhere, and you have your unique set of criteria of what you are willing or not willing to do, and in the time frame you do or not. So we really like to, instead of just give you something for you to put it in your throat and say you have to take it like the bank, we like to think more like, we like to tailor it for you. And the bigger you are, the easier it is, because it's a lot simpler.
What is the best way for investors to get in touch with you or a member of your team?
The best thing, I always said, just go to the website. It's beovest.com. It's BEOVEST.com. And it's all in there. We try to put as much information as possible without driving you crazy.
It's the balance of us all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, this is against, we are not, we like to think that, we like to be more boutique, more selected clients, and really taking care of each other. That's all that it is,
Yeah, I have a rule. If I don't want to sit for dinner with someone at least once a month, I don't want to take money from them for any investment.
Think about it. People do business with people they know and trust. That's it.
Yeah.
It may not be
you have to like them too, because they're people that you know, that you trust, that you don't necessarily like. So
Exactly.
you need all three. You need all three.
Exactly. So we understand that extremely well, and I think by really being on the same side, wanting the same side as a client, and informing them, they might not like what we might say in terms of, because we're not going to be telling you a story, but we're going to tell you the truth, and the truth is, at some point you're going to realize, what, these guys were right.
Yeah, it's definitely better to be honest than to be in trouble.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you everyone for tuning in. I will see you back online. If any of you have questions, you want to see some of the things that were discussed today, they will be embedded into Jean Paul's page on the 9x90 website. Thanks again, guys. Yes.
And one last thing, just to be clear, the disclosure part, I'm not a financial advisor, right? And the video that you saw is not an offering, it's just a preview of what we're doing.
Yes, and for his firm, you do need to be, well, for most firms, you need to be an accredited investor.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Okay.